Welcome back. Oh, huh. That thing is not detecting very well. Oh, well. Well, back to Genesis. And this thing's coming out later because the amount of traffic that happened today, not fun. 2 hours on the freeway. But can't really complain. Things happen. Things things are pretty much unpredictable nowadays. But good thing we're here. Thank the Father for that. And let's get started with the Genesis. Genesis 47. I'm going to finish this off. Then Joseph went to see Pharaoh and told him, "My father and my brothers have arrived in the land of Canaan. They have come with all their flocks and herds and possessions, and they were now in the land of Goshen." Joseph took 5 of his brothers with him and presented them to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh asked the brothers, "What are your occupations?" They replied, "We, your servants, are shepherds, just like our ancestors. We have come to live here in Egypt for a while, for there is no pasture for our flocks in Canaan. The famine is very severe, so please, we request permission to live in the land in the region of Goshen." Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Now that your father and your brothers have joined here, choose any place in the entire land of Egypt for them to live. Give them the best land of Egypt. Give them live, let them live the land of Goshen. And if any of them have special skills, put them in charge of my livestock too." Then Joseph brought his father Jacob and presented him to Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. "How old are you?" Pharaoh asked him. He re- Jacob replied, "I have traveled this earth for 130 hard years, but my life has been short compared to the lives of my ancestors." Then Jacob blessed Pharaoh again by leaving his court and before leaving his court. So Joseph assigned the best land of Egypt, the region of Ramesses, to his father and his brothers, and he settled them there, just as Pharaoh had commanded. And Joseph provided food for his father and brothers in the amount appropriate to the numbers of their dependents, including the smallest child. Meanwhile, the famine became so severe, and all the food was used up, and people were starving throughout the lands of Egypt and Canaan. By selling grain to the people, Joseph eventually collected all the money in Egypt and Canaan, and he put the money in Pharaoh's treasury. When people of Egypt and Canaan ran out of money, all Egyptians came to Joseph. "Our money is gone," they cried, "but please give us food. We will die before your very eyes." Jacob replied, Joseph replied, "Since your money is gone, bring me your livestock. I will give you food in exchange for your livestock." So they brought their livestock to Joseph in exchange for food, in exchange for their horses, flocks of sheep, goats, herds of cattle, and donkeys. Joseph provided them with food for another year. But that year ended, and the next year came again and said, "We cannot we cannot hide the truth from you, my lord. Our money is gone, and all our livestock and cattle are yours. We have nothing left to give but our bodies and our land. Why should we why should we die before your very eyes? Buy buy us and our land in exchange for food. We offer our land and ourselves as slaves for Pharaoh. Just just give us grain so we may live and not die, and so the land does not become empty and desolate." So Joseph brought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. Oh, bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. All Egyptians sold him their fields because the famine was so severe, and soon all the land began belonged to Pharaoh. As for the people, he made all slaves from one end of Egypt to another. The only land they did not buy was the land belonging to the priests. They received all atonement from food directly from Pharaoh, so they did not need to sell their land. Then Joseph said to the people, "Look, today I have bought you and your land for Pharaoh. I will provide you with seed so you can plant the fields. Then, when you harvested, 1/5 of your crops will belong to Pharaoh. You may keep the remaining 4/5 as seeds for their fields and food for you, your household, and your little ones." Excuse me. "You have saved our lives," they exclaimed. "May it please you, my lord, to let us be Pharaoh's servants." Joseph then issued a decree, still in effect in the land of Egypt, that Pharaoh shall receive 1/5 of all crops grown on his land. Only the land belonging to the priests, it was not given to Pharaoh. Meanwhile, the people of Israel settled on the land in the region of Goshen in Egypt. There they acquired property and they were fruitful, and their population grew rapidly. Jacob lived 17 years after his arrival in Egypt, so he lived 147 years in all. At the time of his death, at the time his death drew near, Jacob called for his son Joseph, and he said, "Please do me a favor. Put your hand under my thigh and swear that you you will treat me with unfailing love by honoring my last request. Do not bury me in Egypt. When I die, please take my body out of Egypt and bury me with my ancestors." So Joseph promised, "I will do it as you ask." "Swear that you will do it," Jacob insisted. So Joseph gave his oath, and Jacob bowed humbly at his head of his bed. One day, not long after this, word came to Joseph, "Your father is failing rapidly." So Joseph went to visit his father, and he told him, and he took his two sons, Mashen and Ephraim. When Joseph arrived, Jacob was told, "Your son Joseph is has come to see you." So Jacob gathered all his strength and sat up on his bed. Jacob said to Joseph, "God Almighty appeared to me in Laos, in the land of Canaan, and blessed me. He said to me, 'I will make you fruitful and multiply your descendants, and I will make you a multiple of nations, and I will give you this land of Canaan to your descendants after you as I everlasting po- um uh, position possession." I had a brain fart. Sorry. Now now I am claiming you as my own sons. These two boys of yours, Ephraim and Meshem, who were born here in the land of Egypt before I arrived, they will be my sons, just as Reuben and Simon are. But any child born to you in the future will be your own, and they will inherit land within my and within the territories of their brothers of Ephraim and Mesham. Long long ago, as I was returning from Pam Arama, Rachel died in the land of Canaan. We were still on the way some distance from Euphrates, that is Babylon, or I'm having brain farts today. Bethlehem. Forgive me for that. So with great sorrow I buried them. I buried her beside the road to Euphrates. Then Jacob looked over the two boys. "Are these your sons?" he asked. "Yes," Joseph told him. "These are my sons God has given me here in Egypt." And Jacob said, "Bring them closer to me so I can bless them." Jacob was half blind because of his age, so he can hardly see. So Joseph brought his boys close to him, and Jacob kissed both. Jacob kissed and embraced them. Then Jacob said to Joseph, I never thought I would see your face again, but now God has let me see your children too. Joseph moved the boys who were at their grandfather's knees, and he bowed with his face to the ground. Then he positioned the boys in front of Jacob. Within his right hand he declared Ephraim towards Jacob's left hand, and with his left hand he put on Meshach at Jacob's right hand. But Jacob crossed his arms as the boys reached out to lay his hand on the boys' heads. When he put his right hand on the heads of Ephraim, thought he was the younger boy, and his left hand on Meshach thought that it was the firstborn. Then he blessed Joseph and said, May God, before whom my grandfather Abraham and my father Isaac walked, the God who has been their shepherd all my life to the very day, the angel who has redeemed me from all harm, may he bless these boys, may he preserve their names and their name in the names of Abraham and Isaac, and may their descendants multiply greatly throughout the earth. But Joseph was upset when he saw that his father placed his right hand on Ephraim's head. So Joseph lifted and moved it to Ephraim's head, to Meshach's head. No, my father, he said, this is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. But his father refused. I know, my son. I know, he replied. Meshach will also become great people, but his younger brother will become even greater, and his descendants will become multiple of nations. So Jacob blessed the boys that day with his blessing. The people of Israel will use their names when they give a blessing. They will say, My God may made you a prosperous of Ephraim and Meshach. In his way Jacob put Ephraim ahead of Meshach. Then Jacob said to Joseph, Look, I am about to die, but God will be with you, and will take you back to Canaan, the land of your ancestors. And beyond what I have given your brothers, I am giving you an extra portion of the land that I took from Armenian Armenites with a sword and bow, with my sword and bow. Then Jacob called together all his sons and said, Gather around me, and I will tell you what will happen to each of you in these days to come. Come and listen, you sons of Jacob. Listen to Israel, your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my strength, my child of vigorous youth. You are the first rank and first in power, but you are unruly as a flood, and you will be first no longer, for you went to my bed with my wife, and you defiled my marriage couch. Simon and Levi are two of a kind. Their weapons are instruments of violence. May I never join their meetings. May I never join their meetings. May I never be party to their plans, for their anger may murder men, and they will cripple oxen just for sport. A curse on their anger, for it is furious, a curse on their wrath, for it is cruel. I will scatter them among the descendants of Jacob, and I will disperse them all throughout the land, throughout Israel. Judah, your brothers will praise you. You will grasp your enemies by their neck. All your relatives will bow before you. Judah, my son is a young lion that has finished eating its prey. Like a lion, he crouches and lies. Like a lioness, who dares to rouse him. The, s- the specter will not depart far from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from his descendants, till the coming of one whom it belongs, the one who all nations will honor. He tries to foul to a grapevine, the cow, clot of the donkey to a choose vine. That's weird. He washes his clothes with wine, his robes in blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine, and his teeth are whiter than milk. Zebulon, you will you will settle by the seashore, and you will be a harbor for ships. His borders will extend to Sidon. Ashker is a sturdy donkey resting between two saddle packs. When he sees how good the countryside is and how pleasant the land, he will bend his shoulder to load and submit himself to hard labor. Don, you are you govern his people, will govern his people like another tribe in Israel. Don will be a snake beside the road, and poisonous viper along the path that bites the horse's hooves, so its rider is thrown off. I trust in you for salvation, O Lord. God, you will be attacked in modern man bands, but he will attack them when they retreat. Asher will dine with rich foods and produce food fit for kings. Naphtali is the doe set free that bears beautiful fawns. Joseph is the floy of the wild donkey, and foy of the wild donkey at spring. One of his one of the wild donkeys on the ridge. Archers attack him savagely. They shoot at him and harass him, but his bow remained taut, and his arms were strengthened by the hands of the mighty one of Jacob, by the shepherd, the rock of Israel. May God of all your father, may the God of your father help you. May the mighty Almighty bless you with the blessings of the heavens above, and blessings of the watery depths below, and blessings of the breast and womb. May your fatherly blessings on you surpass the blessings of my ancestors, reaching to the heights of ever of the eternal hills. May these blessings rest on the head of Joseph, who is a prince among his brothers. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf, devouring his enemies in the morning and dividing his plunder in the evening. These are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father said as he told his sons goodbye. He blessed each one of them appropriate message. Then Jacob instructed them, soon I will die and join my ancestors. Bury me with my father and grandfather in the cave in the field of Ephron the Hittite. This is the cave in the field that Machafra near Mamre in Kenya that Abraham bought from Ephraim the Hittite as a permanent burial site. There Abraham and his wife Sarah are buried. There Isaac and his wife Rebekah are buried, and there I bury Leah. It is the plot of land and cave that my grandfather Abraham bought from the Hittites. When Jacob had finished his charge to his sons, they drew they drew his feet onto the bed, breathed his last, and joined his ancestors in death. Ooh. Joseph threw himself on his father and wept over and kissed him. Then Joseph told the physicians who served him to embalm his father's body. So Jacob was embalmed. The embalming process took the usual 40 days, and Egyptians mourned his death for 70 days. When the period of mourning was over, Joseph appeared to Pharaoh's advisors and said, "Please do me this favor and speak to the Pharaoh on my behalf. Tell him that my father made me swear an oath." And he said, "Listen, I am about to die. Take my body to the land of Canaan and bury me in the tomb I prepared for myself. So please allow me to go and bury my father. After his burial, I will return without delay." Pharaoh agreed to Joseph's request. "Go and bury your father as you made as you made a promise," he said. So Joseph went to bury his father. So he accompanied so he was accompanied by all of Pharaoh's officials, all the senior members of Pharaoh's household, and all the senior officers of Egypt. Joseph also took his entire household and his brothers and their households, but they left their children and flocks of herds in the land of Goshen. A great number of chariots and charioteers accompanied Joseph. When they arrived at the thrashing floor of Adon, near the Jordan River, they held a very great and solemn memorial service with a 7-day period of mourning for Joseph's father. The local residents of Canaanites watched them mourning at the thrashing floor of Atan. Then they named that place, which is near the Jordan, Adabas Atamazia, for they said, "This is the place of deep mourning for these Egyptians." So Jacob's sons did as he had commanded them. They carried his body to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave in the fields of Machaflam near Mamor. This is the cave that Abraham had brought at his that he had bought as a permanent burial site for Epharon the Hittite. After burying Jacob, Joseph returned to Egypt with his brothers and all who accompanied him to his father's burial. But now that their father was dead, Joseph's brothers became fearful. Now Joseph will show his anger and pay us back for all the wrong we did to him, they said. So they sent a message to Joseph. "Before your father died, he instructed us to say to you, 'Please forgive your brothers, for they for the great wrong they did to you, for their sin is treating for their sin in treating you so cruelly. So we, the servants of God, of your father, beg you to forgive our sin.'" When Joseph received the message, he broke down and wept. Then his brothers came and threw themselves down before Joseph. "Look, we are your slaves," they said. But Joseph replied, "Do not be afraid of me. I am I God that can punish you? You intended to harm me, but God intended all for good. He brought me to this position so I can save the lives of many people. No, don't be afraid. I will continue to take care of you and your children." So he 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 reassured them by speaking kindly to them. So Joseph and his brothers and their families continued to live in Egypt. Joseph lived at the age of 110. He lived to see three generations of his descendants, of the sons of Yeram, and lived to see the birth of the child of Mashon's son, Mario, Machior, how do I say Mario, whom he, whom he claimed as his own. Soon I will die, Joseph told his brothers, but God will surely come to help you and lead you out of this land of Egypt. He will bring you back to the land of he solemnly promised to give to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. Then Joseph made his sons of Israel swear an oath and said, when God comes to help you and lead you back, you must take my bones with you. So Joseph died at the age of 110. The Egyptians embalmed him, and his body was placed in a coffin in Egypt. Oh, well, that is Genesis. Oh man, that was a trip to be honest. But it looks like we're done with Genesis. 65 more books to go. On to the next book, Exodus, which, from what I recall, Exodus is mostly about. I believe it's. Let me check here. How long is Exodus? 40 books. 40 chapters. My mistake. I think Exodus is more about. I think it's more about Moses and kind of the stepping point towards David, which I believe is in Deuteronomy. But to be honest, this is I never would have thought I'd gone this far. I never thought I would get this far reading this book. But here we are. It's finished with Genesis onto Exodus, and I mean, there's not really much to say other than pretty much these last few chapters pretty much have been explaining themselves and what's going on. What do they mean by this? What do they mean by that? What's God's character in all this and all that? What's he doing? Like it's been explaining everything from the very beginning, from the fall to now God leading them to Egypt, and then from there, from Egypt to the promised land, and then from there on and there on. So this was actually a trip for me, to be honest, because for me, I'm not really too well knowledgeable in the Bible, but the more I read it, the more I finally am able to actually understand and actually see these people of how they're pretty much described. Well, not their like body or anything like that, but their sort of behavior and their sort of like movement and like what they are. They're kind people. Are they mean people? Are they destructive? Or what are they? But the more I read about it, and the more I learn more about this Bible, the more I want to keep reading. Even right now, I want to continue on to Exodus right now. But that's for tomorrow. But other than that, yeah. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.